In 2025, the US is about to make a huge change in its immigration laws, and it's going to affect millions of people. 5 Asian countries are facing an absolute ban on immigration, which means no visas, no chances, and it's about to shake up the entire immigration system. You might be wondering, why are these countries being singled out? What's behind these drastic decisions? Stick with us because the truth behind these new rules is a lot more complicated than you might think. In fact, the consequences could impact millions of people forever. Today, we'll be breaking down exactly what's going on with these 5 countries. The changes are massive, and some of them might even surprise you. Let's get started. Number 5. Bangladesh, Visa Overstay Crisis. Why is Bangladesh on the US immigration blacklist for 2025? The answer is simple: visa overstays. Every year, thousands of Bangladeshi nationals enter the US legally, often on work or student visas. But here's the issue: a large number of them don't leave the US when their visas expire. Instead, they overstay, some for months, others for years. Why does this matter? Overstaying a visa isn't just a minor violation. It's a serious offense that puts a massive strain on the US immigration system. When people overstay their visas, it becomes extremely difficult to track who's legally in the country and who isn't. And the more people overstay, the bigger the problem becomes. But wait, there's more. The US has also raised concerns about Bangladesh's lack of cooperation in deporting those who have overstayed their visas. According to US authorities, Bangladesh has been slow to accept back-deported nationals, making the entire process of removing them from the US incredibly slow and inefficient. So what does this all mean for Bangladeshis hoping to visit, work, or study in the US? Under the proposed immigration rules for 2025, all types of visas will be halted for Bangladeshi nationals. Tourist visas, student visas, work permits, you name it. This will leave thousands of people locked out of the opportunities they hoped for in the US. The administration argues that this measure is necessary to preserve the integrity of the immigration system, while critics say that it unfairly punishes the law-abiding citizens who follow the rules. For many, this could feel like an impossible setback. Number 4. Myanmar, a country in crisis. You've probably heard about the crisis that unfolded there in 2021 when the military took over the government in a violent coup. The country has been in a state of chaos ever since, and this instability is one of the key reasons why Myanmar is on the US immigration ban list for 2025. Why is instability such a problem for US immigration? Well, when a country is in the midst of a civil war or violent conflict, it's extremely hard for authorities to properly vet people trying to enter another country. That's exactly what's happening with Myanmar. The US can't be sure who's entering, especially when it comes to refugees and immigrants who may have lost their identification papers or documents. Without the ability to perform proper background checks, how can the US ensure that people coming from Myanmar aren't a potential security threat? That's the question at the heart of this decision. And here's where it gets even more complicated. Myanmar's government has been virtually powerless to handle the situation. The country is fractured, with various ethnic groups fighting for control, and the military is struggling to maintain order. This lack of stability has left the US with no way to properly verify who's who, and it's a serious national security concern. As a result, in 2025, Myanmar will be completely shut off from US immigration. Refugees fleeing violence, families hoping to reunite, students hoping to study, all of them will now face denied entry. Critics argue that this is unfair to innocent civilians who are just trying to escape the violence and instability in their country. Humanitarian groups have raised alarm bells, saying this decision will leave vulnerable people stranded in a country ravaged by war. But from the US government's perspective, national security comes first, even if it means closing the door to people who need help the most. Number 3. Malaysia. The visa overstay problem. Let's turn our attention to Malaysia now. Why is Malaysia facing this ban in 2025? Once again, it's all about visa overstays. Many Malaysians enter the US legally, often for work or study, but a significant number of them overstay their visas, creating a huge problem for US immigration enforcement. The situation is exacerbated by the fact that Malaysia's government has been accused of not doing enough to stop its nationals from overstaying or working illegally in the US. US authorities argue that Malaysia has failed to take serious action to curb illegal immigration. This has made it incredibly difficult for the US to track who's in the country legally and who isn't. The lack of action on Malaysia's part has led to major concerns about national security. If the US can't rely on Malaysia to enforce its own immigration laws, how can it trust that people entering the country are who they say they are? This failure to cooperate has become a serious problem for the US, and it's part of the reason why Malaysia is now facing a complete immigration ban. What does this mean for Malaysians? In 2025, Malaysians will face a complete shutdown of visas to the US. This includes not only tourist and work visas, but also student visas and family reunification visas. Many people who had plans to study, work, or visit family in the US will now be left without options. While the Trump administration insists that this is necessary to address immigration violations and send a message to other countries, many Malaysians argue that the decision is harsh and disproportionately affects innocent individuals who have followed the rules. Number 2. China, a national security threat. Now, we come to China. Why is China being singled out for this ban? The US government is pointing to national security concerns, specifically related to espionage and intellectual property theft. The fear is that some Chinese nationals are using student and work visas to steal American technology, research, and military secrets. This is a serious accusation. In recent years, the US has accused China of supporting espionage operations aimed at gathering sensitive information from American companies, universities, and even government agencies. The worry is that some Chinese nationals are entering the US under false pretenses, posing as students or workers in order to siphon off technological advances or defense secrets. In response, the US government has decided to limit the number of Chinese nationals allowed into the country, especially those seeking to work or study in high-tech fields like artificial intelligence, robotics, and defense technologies. Under the new rules for 2025, the US will halt student visas, work permits, and research exchanges for people coming from China. This decision could have major consequences for Chinese students and researchers who were hoping to study or collaborate with American institutions. But from the US government's perspective, the risks are too great. They argue that the country's national security is at stake, and they are taking drastic action to prevent future risks. Number 1. India, the H-1B visa crisis. Finally, we come to India. Why is India on the 2025 ban list? The main issue here is the abuse of the H-1B work visa system. The H-1B visa allows skilled workers to enter the US for jobs in fields like technology, engineering, and medicine. Over the years, many Indian nationals have used this visa to gain employment in the US. However, there's been a massive increase in companies using H-1B visas to hire Indian workers at lower wages, effectively displacing American workers. This has caused widespread concerns about the program's integrity and whether it's actually benefiting the US economy. On top of that, the US has seen a rise in fake documents used by Indian nationals to obtain student visas. From fake college acceptance letters to fake financial documents, these fraudulent applications are making it harder for US authorities to trust Indian visa applications. As a result, the Trump administration has decided to restrict certain types of visas for Indian nationals, including H-1B work visas, student visas, and even family reunification visas. This is going to have a major impact on the thousands of Indians hoping to come to the US for work, study, or family reasons. So, what does all of this mean? 5 Asian countries are facing severe restrictions in 2025, and the reasons behind these decisions are complex. From visa overstays to national security concerns, the new immigration rules are likely to affect millions of people who were hoping to build better lives in the US. Do you think these decisions are the right move, or is this going too far? Leave your thoughts in the comments below. We'd love to hear your opinion. And don't forget to like, subscribe, and hit the notification bell so you can stay updated on more shocking global immigration news. Thanks for watching, and we'll see you in the next video.